Now to an important look at rising gun violence across the country. ABC News teamed up with our affiliates and owned stations and the Gun Violence Archive to track gun violence incidents every day in the past week, examining what's driving the surge and who's falling victim. ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas brings us this report, One Nation Under Fire.
It should have been a celebration, the Bucks winning an NBA championship. Instead, gunshots, chaos, people running for their lives.
Where do we go? Where do we go?
3 wounded, a community stunned. Part of the chronic gun violence epidemic surging in recent months. The map shows it all unfolding. More than 1,000 incidents, more than 430 dead, 1,000 wounded in 1 week.
What we are seeing is a continuation of last year's 30% jump. We're seeing numbers that up until last year we had literally not seen since the early 90s.
To see the impact of gun violence on everyday life, we teamed up with our own stations and affiliates across the nation, as well as the Gun Violence Archive, a nonpartisan group tracking the daily toll of shootings in America.
I think this week we've seen a fairly average week. And that's not a good thing. The numbers are high.
3-2. Swing and a miss.
We saw it begin last Saturday.
8-4.
As we started our investigation, gunshots outside of Nationals Park. That same night, a mother and her baby caught in the crossfire at a corner store in West Philadelphia, wounding the 1-year-old. It did not end there, as a man inside the store returned fire.
They don't care who's around when they use these guns. It's a big problem. This is not okay. This is not okay at all. Not okay. I'm tired of this. I'm sick and tired of this.
Day after day, we saw so many children affected by this violence. One boy shot in a bedroom.
The bullet just went through the wall, went through his head, and he just fell to the ground.
Tristan Jaden Rosas in San Antonio, Texas, was only 15 and playing video games, hit by a stray bullet.
I should have been there, because when you promise a kid that you're going to protect them, that's a promise you can never take back.
Altogether, an unspeakable toll. More than 39 dead, 94 wounded under age 18. And of the deceased, 6 children under 12. So often, children killed by guns falling victims to accidents. In a church parking lot in Utah, a quiet tragedy left 2 families reeling.
We do know it is a 13-year-old male shot in the head.
Lance Moorhead, just 13, shot by his 15-year-old friend.
Really what we found is it was just a truly unfortunate, tragic accident. Frankly, poor decisions made by some adolescents that 2 families are going to now have to deal with for the rest of their lives.
We also saw mass shootings play out across the country, those involving at least 4 shots, not including the shooter. 18 incidents in 12 communities, including one that senselessly took the life of Corey Saunders and wounded 4 others.
Mass shootings are up a lot. They went from a 400 base in 2019 to 600, 700.
And sadly, we followed as reports of suspected domestic violence ticked up. At least 44 cases, among them Camden Campos, arrested for allegedly kidnapping a mother and child last Monday.
The female and the child were attempting to flee a male that was being hostile toward him. While they were fleeing, he shot at the vehicle. He hit one of them, which was the child.
Virtually no area of the country was immune. But as ABC dug into the numbers, they showed violence disproportionately hit poor and urban areas. But about 17% occurred in upper-middle-income to wealthier neighborhoods, where the median household income topped $60,000.
People are afraid to go to malls. People are afraid to go to theaters. People are afraid to go to parks.
From Los Angeles to Chicago to New York, where this stunning video caught our attention. 2 men, guns drawn in broad daylight.
Are people more brazen in carrying their weapons? Has something shifted?
I don't think there's any doubt. But the data here in New York City is more guns on the scene of shootings, more rounds being fired.
New York City saw a 73% increase in shootings in May 2021 compared to the same time last year.
So this is again.
On Tuesday, Commissioner Dermot Shea told us a lethal mix of factors is largely driving the surge. Gang violence, budget cuts, COVID shutting down the courts, leaving a backlog of more than 5,000 gun cases.
The vast majority of what we see is still gang-related. It could be over turf, it could be over drug money. Oftentimes, tragically, and these are really the tragic ones, it's over nothing.
There was one number you mentioned with your recent remarks that just really stopped me in my tracks. You said there were like 5,000 gun cases that had not made their way through the court system. Talk about the impact of that. What does that mean to a city?
Taking the gun off the street is great, but really what we need is the individual carrying the gun off the street.
Increasing gun arrests and targeting repeat offenders has led to some signs of success. A dip in the rate last month. Shea remains unsatisfied.
Who are the victims?
When you look at who's getting shot in this city right now, it's about 97% people of color. It's way off the charts.
For Chief Judith Harrison, the fight is personal.
As an African American, obviously, it was painful to hear that. He said 90% of your victims are people of color.
Yes. Horrifying statistic, but it's not just about statistics. It's not just about people of color. It's about everyone.
Philadelphia facing an even worse explosion.
It's been a minute since I've done this.
On Wednesday, Philly police allowing us to ride along. A small number of streets infected with gun violence.
We see this corner store out here. I would have come up in person. There were 6 people shot. So this is another corner here where we have multiple shootings.
The streets that night quiet until they weren't.
And now there's reports of shots fired at another end of the city.
A shooting outside this restaurant famous for its cheesesteaks.
That's a shell casing right on the ground right there. See where the white circle's drawn around it. I don't know what it is. You get closer to 2 o'clock, stuff starts popping.
As we waited at the scene, the horrible news.
So he was pronounced deceased.
The person here
Correct.
died.
Correct.
That's horrible.
Philadelphia Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw telling us the argument was over a parking space.
A lot of the beefs or social media disputes or whatever, they're being resolved with a firearm.
Outlaw acknowledges the challenges of policing in the era of George Floyd and building community trust.
I'm a cop and I'm a black woman. And so because I have all of these lived experiences and these different perspectives, I understand why the police do what we do. But I also understand the hurt and the torment in our communities.
In so many neighborhoods, small numbers of repeat offenders terrorizing overwhelmingly law-abiding citizens.
I said, I'm shot. And then I felt the heat in my leg as we're all running away.
This Philly resident shot in the leg this week, along with another man standing in front of her home. She did not want to show her face on camera, at times tears filling her eyes.
He raises the gun, we lock eyes, he shoots the guy.
It's random. You don't know why they were shooting.
No.
It just, he's out and you're locking eyes with a gunman.
Yep. It doesn't make any sense. It's senseless. I shouldn't have to be afraid to stay in my home.
At the end of a sobering week, we're left with the vigils. A memorial to remember 20-year-old Taya Ashton, a transgender woman from Suitland, Maryland, found dead from a gunshot wound last Monday.
My daughter said, don't put people on the spot, right? But I know everybody got some special memories about being with Taya.
A California community gathering to support a mom who lost one daughter and almost lost a son in a drive-by shooting. A vigil to honor those killed and wounded in that TUCSON mass shooting.
Corey is looking down on us right now.
The lives lost, the families grieving, and the almost certain knowledge that next week is all but guaranteed to happen again.
Have you recovered a weapon yet?
For ABC News, Pierre Thomas in Washington.
So much senseless tragedy there. Our thanks to Pierre.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.